It's a race that will live on in Speedway folklore. The 2016 Speedway Sedans Australia National Street Stock Final, the largest national title event in the sport's history, witnessed two of the sport's most successful drivers, Anthony Bear and Brad McClure, separated by a mere 0.019 of a second at the finish in the closest national title final of all time. Now, thanks to Team Australia, in conjunction with Speedbooks, this timeless moment has been captured in amazing detail with a 60 by 42 centimetre poster print of that once-in-a-lifetime event. Limited to just 500 copies, each print is individually numbered and signed by the combatants Brad McClure and Anthony Bear, and yours truly, who called that unforgettable photo finish. McClure! Bear! Photo! Available July 16th for just $50 plus postage, this is the ultimate gift for Speedway Sedan fans, with all the proceeds going towards Team Australia's 2022 Tour of New Zealand.
I'm running the race and I'm glad. I'm running the race and I'm faster than them. Yeah.
YouTube. How the fuck you doing? Black Flag Podcast coming back at you. Nev Ross, Jake Druitt, and we're here to talk about Team Australia. It's back. I am that excited.
I'm back.
I had all this hype and all this momentum, and everyone was messaging the page, wanting to know what the fuck's going on, and then it just stopped. COVID stopped it. Everything stopped, and it just got delayed. And then Tim Saville and Adam Brooke have been working really, really hard behind the scenes and done plenty of negotiations with the Kiwis, and we're back racing 3 dates in New Zealand: the 2nd of January, the 6th of January, the 8th of January. That's about as much detail as we've got. We've seen Team Australia put the post out. If you haven't done so, since you've already liked Black Flag Podcast, clearly, you're going to go over and like Team Australia's Facebook page, because that's where you're going to get all your information, and it's also where you're going to apply to become a driver for Team Australia. You done your application, Jake?
No, I'm about to tomorrow, but...
Yeah, you better.
Yeah, so I've already got the gig.
Because I've seen you wreck plenty of dudes.
Yeah.
So they're
ask Barry.
So racing stock cars, still, we don't really know what a stock car is in Australia. Google it, YouTube it, start searching them up. These things are unreal, and how they do Speedway in New Zealand is next level. They're getting like up to 10,000 people to a meeting. The crowd goes nuts. They got cowbells. They're screaming, yelling. They got flags draped over them. It's like going to the soccer or to Speedway Grand Prix or other big sporting events like that. It's next level. They do it better than us, but we're going to go over there and win their race. We've got the fastest drivers in the world living here in Australia, so we're going to put them in one of their cars and go and beat them. It's going to be cool as.
Yeah, no, it's going to be unreal. It's going to be a good learning exercise for everyone, I think, from this side of the pond, if that's what you call it.
Well, not just learning racing, like learning, just being able to see.
No, just learning how to do things better. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Is, you know, from the videos and that you watch, they're on another level to us in a lot of ways. Like, our cars are immaculate and our racing's fast and everything like that, but their crowd interaction and the crowd numbers they get is something that most places here would only dream of. So
absolutely. Imagine those ticket numbers that they're getting through their gates. Man.
Yeah. So, we'll find out a bit more in a minute, but...
Yep. So we're going to try and catch back up with Tim and Adam if I can make this Zoom work. Just give me 1 sec. And
3 hours later.
Now. All right, that should be working. Tim, Adam, are you both there? Give us a wave.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, we've got you both. All right. Welcome back to Black Flag Podcast. It's been a little while since we've last seen you, Adam.
Oh, it's been too long, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's felt like too long. I think, last time we caught up at Red Line Raceway, you were down there for the Victorian Modified title. Some say
yeah, it's one of the few times they've let me out of the state, unfortunately. I think every time I plan to come and see you, COVID intervenes. And that's the case this time again. So we'll have to resort to the old digital mediums, but regardless, it's good to catch up.
Yeah, and it's working perfectly. So drama-free. We haven't had any tech issues whatsoever making this work. So it's all good. Tim, it's great to see you as well. Sadly, we might not see you as much around the traps with the news that's come out in the last few days.
Yeah, look, a bit of a shock, I guess, for a lot of people, possibly including myself. But yeah, the end of the line for me at Speedway Australia, heading back to New Zealand to get involved in the horse racing industry. So that'll be a bit of a change in some ways, and probably exact the same in many others. But yeah, it'll be sad not to get around all the tracks in Australia. It's the best part of the job, getting out and meeting people and seeing all the great racing. So I mean, I'll be still trying to do that as often as I can for as long as possible. Looking forward to, once it gets into your blood, there's no hope really, is there? Because we all know how awesome Speedway is in Australia. It's kicking on big time, and still want to see what's happening over here and get involved, as much as I can.
Well, it's disappointing that we've got to hand you back. I was starting to adopt you like Russell Crowe and a Pavlova, and now we've just got to hand you back over to the Kiwis. So I suppose leading into why we're here with the Team Australia announcement that's came out in the last week, we're really excited. We know that you guys are obviously excited with how much work you've put on in the background. But Tim, with you leaving Speedway Australia, is that going to affect you with Team Australia? How's that going to work?
No,
Surely
you're
not going to jump ship and go to the opposition.
No, look, I'm green and gold forever now, especially when it comes to Speedway. But yeah, look, that's something that we're just going to pick up the ball and run with. Adam will be looking after things in Australia, and obviously I'll be on the ground in New Zealand, spying on them and making sure that the welcoming party is there for everybody when January arrives and we get the team and the fans over to kick some Kiwi butt.
Yeah, we'll make sure your beer fridge is stocked if we're coming to see you. So that'll be the best part. You better show us all the best pubs.
Look, without mind you, it has been a while. I've been locked in Australia too, so the amount of turnover in the bars around town is always huge. But yeah, it's going to be a massive celebration. Kick off the new year in the right way. We looked at it last year and thought there's probably going to be about 500 Australians going over. I guess it'll be 499 now with me already there, but yeah, it's going to be massive. It's just going to be a really good way to, kickstart the Trans-Tasman rivalry in stock cars and do some other things as well at the same time.
So, what's the tour this time? Obviously, we spoke. What was that? Probably 9 months ago about what was planned last time. But so, what are we going to be seeing from this team, and where's it going to, and everything like that? Give us some details.
Yeah, well, I think you directed that question at me, so I will keep talking.
Tim.
Yeah,
or both, either or.
Yeah. Well, I'll start, and Adam can then correct me. So basically, what we're looking at this year is the same class of cars, so stock cars, full contact racing, but instead of competing in the New Zealand Championship for teams racing, we're going to sort of strike out on our own and get some action happening at 3 different tracks, one in the North Island and 2 in the South. So 3 race meetings in 6 days, starting on January the 2nd in Wellington, which is the bottom of the North Island, then flicking down to Dunedin, which is sort of down the bottom of the South Island for a midweek event, and then up to Christchurch for the grand finale. But this year, I guess part of what we want to achieve is not just have stock car racing like we talked about before, but include some sedan stuff in there and some modified type activity as well. So we've worked with 3 tracks who've come on board with us, and they're going to fold in some other stuff that we know Australians will find interesting as well, to make it a really broad competition, so we can beat them on multiple fronts.
And a huge round of applause too to those clubs over in New Zealand who've embraced the idea as well. I know there's been a lot of back and forth between you guys and you, particular Adam, as well, making a lot of this work in the background. So what everybody, I suppose, who picked up on the last podcast was that you guys got a lot of applications. I'm sure there was heaps of applications coming flooding through for the Team Australia. How will you select the drivers? What's going to be the process in how you selected the drivers? Where do they come from? What class? What's the criteria, I suppose, that you're looking for in the drivers that you'll be taking over?
Well, it's a lot like last time, isn't it? The same application process is carrying over this year. Obviously, we had in excess of 100 applications last time for the tilt that we wanted to have against the New Zealand's best teams at the New Zealand Champs. This time around, it's a little bit different in the sense that previously we were limited to, say, 5 or 6 competitors. It was a one big event. It was the New Zealand Champs. We were going to take our best and brightest and go over there and take on their best teams. But now that we're going through more of a test match style series where we'll be competing over 3 nights, as Tim said, January 2nd at Wellington, January 5th at Dunedin, and then the grand final January 8th at Christchurch. we're going to need a heck of a lot more than 5 drivers, aren't we? I mean, we're probably going to be looking at a team of potentially 12, maybe even up to 18 competitors that we can take on this tour, to make sure that we've got, a variety of teams and a variety of skill sets that we can use throughout the tour to hopefully bring home an Australian victory. I guess in terms of selecting the drivers, a lot like last time, we're not necessarily looking for the fastest. We're not necessarily looking for the bravest. I mean, we're looking for guys that can best represent Australian Speedway as a whole. That could come from any Speedway Australia division. That could come from, somebody from far northern Western Australia who's put in the hard yards in their street stock or in their super sedan, and they might not necessarily be at the front, at the forefront every week winning races at a national title level, but they could be doing the absolute best with the machinery they've got. And if they can display, some aptitude to us and show us that they've got that desire to basically do the business on the world stage and show off their talents, hey, we'll have them. That's the kind of person we want.
Oh yeah, and just quickly, just Adam, to go back to the format. So I mean, last time we were looking to go back, as you said, to champs, which has its own sort of format or structure that it's had traditionally over the years. Is the format going to be the same going into these 3 races, or is it going to be slightly changed in the way that champs runs? Or
very similar format to the champs. Obviously, being a series as such, it'll be individual point. I mean, you're racing for the overall win on the night, so you're looking at 2 big blockbuster races each night where Team Australia will go head to head with Team New Zealand. And I want to say it's a first past the post event, but you do have to score points in these races. You've got to get as many of your cars up the front of the field as possible. Dare I say, by whatever means necessary, being full contact racing. And obviously the points from the wins are going to accumulate over the season. And hopefully, as I say, it's going to culminate in an Australian victory at the grand final at Christchurch.
Yeah, well, it would be nice to be able to bring it home. So will the drivers, obviously stock cars not a class heavily represented in Australia. I know we got lots of feedback after the last episode from people saying we've got stock cars here in Australia and they're sort of still trying to find their feet and get the momentum and support at tracks, but not being a core Australian Speedway class, are we going to get the drivers going to get the chance to get in the car and actually familiarise themselves with them and have a drive of a car before they go to New Zealand? Or will it just be like, all right, throw your helmet on, jump in, best of luck, slap them on the bum and off they go?
Probably going to be a bit of both. The one of the benefits of being so close to New Zealand is that we can, and borders permitting, we'll be able to get drivers over on a regular basis heading up to January and give them a go and see how they cope with the vehicles. But they're so similar, really. I mean, this is the point that we wouldn't have done this if we didn't think Australia was going to be successful. But the fact that they run the same sort of running gear, as your sedans over here, means that similar weight and all those kind of things. So there's not actually going to be a whole load of difference. The guys are going to be fast when they get in the cars. It's teaching them the racecraft and how to teams race and all those kind of things. It's actually going to take a bit of intensive learning. But in terms of, it's no different now when a driver heads out from the East Coast and pops in an unfamiliar car on the West Coast and does really well over there. It's going to be exactly the same principle. We know that the drivers are going to have the speed. It's just teaching them everything else that's going to be the crucial part. And we've got a New Zealand tactician who's got heaps of skills in that area and raced himself. It's actually come out of retirement. I think we've he got the bug from helping us, and he's out of retirement. So there's not going to be any drama. We have complete faith in Australian races when it comes to speed. The New Zealanders are in for a shock. I tell you now, they are quite complacent. They think that they just got to turn up and beat us. If they actually look closely, they'd see that there's lots of contact racing in Australia, and also the POMs when they go over there every year are really competitive, and they don't have the advantage that we're going to have of being able to send drivers over from October onwards. So I think they really need to brace themselves for a bit of a shock, because it's coming. There's too many of us and we're too fast. It's just teaching everyone how to teams race.
I've seen plenty of drivers in Australia who race in our non-contact sport, and they're well adapted in contact. So I'm sure that part of it's going to be fine for the Aussies.
So Tim, just from a racer's point of view, obviously if a big part of being successful in Speedway is having good car preparation and a good car, where are the cars coming from? Who prepares them over there? Who maintains them and stuff like that? I know we've got Adam over this side of the water, but what happens over the other side with the cars?
Well, look, that's, I guess, one of the things we'll be able to put a bit more focus on with me over there permanently, from next month. But there's a mixture of, I mean, the last time we put the call out for applications, we had 3 cars within a day. People volunteering their services, but there's some Australians that will get the bug and they will buy their own vehicles. There's no doubt about that. It's actually been quite an effort to corral everything together and get the best team on the day. But in terms of where we base ourselves and then the support that we need, that's still up in the air, but it's leaning towards probably Christchurch, mainly from a direct flight capability from Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. And if we do that, then we can certainly have a squad of cars that are there ready to be looked at almost on a weekly basis. So that's really the theory behind it. In terms of the actual support with crew and that kind of thing, it's just been amazing, the level of interest. It's actually not going to be a problem. I mean, we've had well over 100 applications for drivers, but had a whole load of other people contact us who want to help in other ways as well. Someone like me who couldn't drive their way out of a paper bag. There's lots of people like that who want to, make this successful and be involved, which is fantastic. So it's actually really more of a logistical exercise in terms of actually coordinating everything that is actually finding it, I think, to be honest.
And what about like funding and stuff like that? What's the drivers going to have to put in to being supplied by the team and stuff like that? Have you got any more details on anything like that?
Well, we've got a number of fundraising exercises that we'll be looking to kick off in the coming weeks. Obviously, the first and most exciting one is actually we've got a poster print that we'll be launching in the coming week.
Can we announce it now?
We can, yeah. We can announce it right now.
All right, it's going up on the screen now.
Get it up on the screen. So, look, this is obviously one of the most iconic moments in Speedway sedan racing in recent years. This is the McClure Bear photo finish from the 2016 Australian Street Stock Championship, Australian Street Stock title, national title at Redline. What an amazing print. We've had an artist in West Australia has put this together for us. We've got 500 copies, each of which individually signed by Brad McClure, Anthony Bear, and Jason Crow. So it doesn't get any cooler than that. I think these are going to be retailing at around about $50 each, plus postage. And obviously, all money is going towards the Australian team. Team Australia sending drivers over.
And it's come up so good. It looks so good. Make sure you put us down for one, and we'll get Jake's dad to pay for ours. He's pretty good for that stuff. Just a little bit of a follow-up question. So, Tim, you said before that we've got our New Zealand tactician over there who's going to sort of work with Team Australia. Have we done all the paperwork in order to smuggle him back to Australia safely? Like, is he currently in protective custody? Do we need to hide their identity? Like, how do the Kiwis adapt to someone of theirs helping us?
Look, it's actually not a problem because they are so confident of victory. They actually don't think that we've got a hope at all. They're completely dismissive of the whole concept. They're happy for, they welcome us with open arms and that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, they're completely confident they're going to be victorious. So in their view, you could chuck as many resources as you needed into the concept and we won't be successful. That's just the way it is. It's their sport. The top of the tree. There's never been an official New Zealand team before. So this is the first time that's happened. So Speedway New Zealand have come on board as well. But they just think they're going to win. It's that simple. And yeah, if someone like Scott Tennant who's our tactician, if he wants to help us out, they don't have a problem with that because they're completely supremely confident of victory. It's that simple.
They think I can tell you now, speaking with some of the Kiwis, they think this is going to be an absolute shit show. They think we're going to show up, they're going to put us up the fence, and they'll be, we'll be dusted and they'll be off to the pub early. But Scott and I, we've had some pretty long chats about this on our trips to New Zealand, where we've had discussions with tracks and such. And look, he was skeptical to begin with, much like the rest of the Kiwis. But the more thought he's put into it, he said, "You know what? You guys are going to cream them." And if someone of Scott's caliber thinks that, well, you and I, we know we've got the best speedway drivers in the world. We wouldn't be putting our money behind this and backing this project in with our time and resources if we didn't think we were going to go over there and cream them.
But
So
let's be honest, they've probably been watching our video logs and they think that I'm the standard of speedway driver over here. So they're probably pretty confident that if you're bringing people like me over,
well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
to be fair, they probably think Nev's one of the drivers as well. So
little do they know, I've never turned a lap.
That's for the safety of everyone else.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Trust me, much safer behind a camera. So, Team Australia is obviously more than just the two of you and us, and there's plenty of other people involved within Team Australia. We did touch on it last time, but just to refresh everyone's memory here in Australia, who have we got involved? Who's on board with Team Australia, and who are our supporters that have already jumped on board behind the Team Australia cars? Adam.
Right. Okay. Well, well, look. I mean, I think the team is large, and I'll do half Adam and then segue over to you if you like. But for example, the manager of the team is going to be Greg Lynn from Speedway Sedans Australia.
The chief.
He's got that big presence that you need as a leader, and a bit of intimidation factor for the Kiwis. They probably, they see weedy old us on the screen and think, there's nothing much there. But when Greg walks into town, they're gonna see a different side. I've
heard he's been hitting the gym too, the old man mountain. So he's ready to intimidate everyone he needs to over there. About the size of a mountain.
Yeah, I think with Greg on the infield, full contact isn't restricted to the track, if you know what I'm saying.
And look, then in terms of the Ash Media is going to be the broadcast partner, so we know that that's going to be a reliable product, and people are going to want to watch it because Jared is just a master at all that kind of stuff. And in terms of the commentary, Jason Crow was teed up to be a part of it. He may be able to head over for some of it, but if not, chances are Ryan Harris will be available as well. With Cush Clothing doing the merchandise too. So, I mean, as you know, that's a number of the best people involved in Australian Speedway, as well as us and you. So, it's going to be the best resources of Australian Speedway having a real good crack at this, and the team aspect of it all is there for a reason. Team Australia has called that to make everyone understand that this is about us all working together for the right outcome.
Yeah, well, man, I'm excited. Like, just getting back talking about it again, I've just got the same vibe that I got last time. Like, I'm just like, all right, I'm ready to go. Surely it's got to be next week. Like, the year's not going to go quick enough. Pretty excited to get Jake over in New Zealand. I'm going to make him bungee jump. So everyone will be excited for that. Jake loves heights.
Do not. Not happening.
So, all right, on to the next question. So stock cars is the main race. That'll be the Team Australia versus Team New Zealand. Is stock cars going to be the only cars that the Australians will be able to compete in New Zealand, or is there going to be any other options for drivers going over there?
Oh, no, look, we're exploring all options at this stage. Speaking with a lot of the tracks over there are divisions in New Zealand that represent a lot like what we've got over here. So, for example, at each of the rounds, production saloons, which are quite similar to our street stocks, production sedans, somewhere in between. They'll be featuring as the supports at all three events. And one thing that we will be doing is looking to, and this goes back to our fundraising efforts, we will be looking to field at least one Australian driver in the production sedan races or the production saloon races in a car of our own. So we do have, it's a top secret project going on at our, South Windsor headquarters here in Sydney. But we do have a production saloon, a New Zealand spec production saloon under construction in full Team Australia colours. It's off at the paint shop right now. And hopefully we can be showing that off in the coming weeks. And, we're going to see some Aussies over there going head to head in something that we're used to, which is, non-contact sedan racing. And adding to that, we've got plenty of opportunities. It's not just restricted to the adults. I mean, over there, production youth saloons, very similar to the junior sedans that we've got in Australia. Once again, we've got cars capable of actually accommodating these kids. And I mean, I'd love nothing more than to see some good young Australian drivers head over there in the pre-season. And then, of course, during the tour itself and take on the locals and show them how it's done.
So is this going to create an opportunity now for the junior competitors to apply as well?
That's the theory. Yeah, the car that is in the works can be used as both a junior and an adult car in New Zealand. It's how they sort of spec things up a bit differently. So there's no reason, for example, why you couldn't have two people on the same night sharing the car, a kid and an adult. So there's lots of opportunities like that that will appear. Dunedin, one of the reasons we picked that track for the midweek thing is it's sort of the home of youth saloons in New Zealand. They're not everywhere, but they have a really good future and good potential. We want to showcase that class. So there's a lot of aims behind this. It's not just about kicking the Kiwis' butt in stock car racing. There's a whole lot of other aims that we want to achieve here for the benefit of both countries. And that's what we're going to do. We've got lots of ideas just brimming away. And as you say, we just need borders to open and stuff so we can get heading back and forward and making a lot of this happen.
Well, I'm going to make it my mission when we're over there to find some Kiwis who are going to be brave enough to jump in a modified sedan in Australia. And if we're going to go over and have a crack at their class, let's give them the opportunity to have a crack at ours and see if they can hold up with our racing as well. I'm not sure if they're used to going that fast, but we'll see if we can get them used to it.
I don't know who's going to put them in, because whichever it is, it's probably going to end up wrecked, just saying. But just remind them that it's not no contact, but it's not full contact. Somewhere in between.
We'll find a happy balance. All right, guys, look, we thank you very much both for your time. We're really excited to be back on board with the Team Australia program. Obviously, COVID and all the other delays that have happened. Fantastic job getting it all back happening. There's heaps of talk about it in the Speedway world. As soon as we shared the post, the page started getting heaps of messages. So if you haven't done so already, jump on the Team Australia's Facebook page. You can find all the information there, all the updated information for the 3 new events that we're heading over to in January. Make sure that you've applied. Jump on YouTube and just type in, what the fuck is a stock car? And that's the first thing that I did because I had no idea what it was. And it popped straight up. And the racing's off its head. The crowd is insane. And I think that's probably something that I'm really excited for, just to rotate back to the supporters that are going over there. You said last time we were sort of looking for about 500 Australians to go and support it. Are we going to be able to squeeze 500 Australians into those venues? It looks like they're packed from the fence to the hill.
Oh, they do get good crowds, and it's the summer holiday period, so we're expecting really good numbers. That's why it's been so easy to get tracks who want to be part of it, because they know they're going to get massive crowds and make all this pay, because I memean all those tracks are chipping in as well to make it all work, but they know they're going to get the crowd response in order to fund it all. So yeah, it's real. That seriously, they are so excited about this. It's actually really cool that they're getting on board with something innovative, and they can see that it's going to be a success, and they want to be sustainable just like we do too.
Oh, look, if you guys want any indication of how popular this is in New Zealand, jump on the Speedway New Zealand Facebook page and just have a look at the sheer reach that the announcement got all across New Zealand. It was absolutely massive. I mean, all of it, Kiwis telling us basically that we're wasting our time, that we're going to get our ass kicked, but they all want to come and see that, and we're out to show them that they've got no idea what they're talking about. So bring it on, I say. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody loves a good rivalry, and the Australia-New Zealand rivalry is one that's going to live on forever. Plenty of mateship in that as well, and I think that's something that's going to be really good too, to be able to build a bridge between Speedway New Zealand, Speedway Australia, get different competitors travelling across the Tasman and competing in different sorts of motorsport across there. Guys, thank you very much for your time tonight. I know it's gone past late. I'm not super tech, but we're all over the Zoom now. Maybe in the future we'll be able to Zoom with some Kiwis who aren't going to get too frustrated out of sitting on hold. But guys, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to Team Australia. Let's do it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. All right, so there we have it. Team Australia, it's going ahead. If you haven't done so already, jump on, do your application. You can find the link through the Team Australia Facebook page. We're going to put a link for it in our description at the bottom of the video. Man, Jake, I am so fucking hyped now to get over New Zealand.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I reckon I'll do a good job driving one of the rigs, so pretty pumped about going over and steering one.
Man, I'm going to miss Tim.
Yeah, same.
I come to like him. He's like a little Kiwi teddy bear.
I don't know if anyone else has really noticed how much he's done for Speedway in Australia.
I thought you were going to say if anyone's noticed how much love Adam has in his eyes when he looks at Tim.
No, but how much Tim's done for Speedway, a lot more emphasis put on the majority classes, I guess you would say, a lot more even spread.
Yeah, he
and
has.
that's definitely something that I've picked up on in the last few years.
Well, I think statistically, if you look at the numbers, when Tim started, sprint cars were the biggest class in the country, and now they're like the fourth biggest class.
Sixth, I think.
Yeah, well, like wingless and then a few SSA classes.
Four SSA classes and wingless are the
Yep.
street stocks. is the
And it's
biggest
not
class in
as if
Australia.
sprint cars have come down. It's just that all the other classes have come up. There's probably more competitors on more tracks than there's ever been. And look, and that's, we can't put it all onto Tim and Speedway Australia, but definitely getting that assistance from the top ends helps. So, look, some people are always going to dislike governing bodies, are always dislike rule changes and insurance companies and things that happen. That's fine, but at the end of the day, we're Speedway fans, and when you get somebody in here who's been as passionate about Speedway as Tim has, and done what he's done to promote the sport and make it better, you got to be grateful for that. So if you've done so already, jump on the Speedway Australia post and leave a message for Tim. I know he's been going through reading a few of them. He got a little bit teary-eyed off camera before when I told him how much I loved him, and he tried to offer me his job. I told him I was really busy with Black Flag stuff. Maybe hit me up next time round, but. I'm sure whoever takes over now is going to be in a really well set position moving forward.
Yeah, and just keep doing the same thing. Don't
change it.
Nah,
don't fix something
don't
that's
be a
not
grub.
broken.
Don't be a fucking grub. Do your job. Follow the trend that's been set because it's working, and just keep doing it. We're in a good place. There's a few things. There's the things that we gripe about now. I think are minor compared to what I feel like we used to have issues with. So,
yep.
Can't thank him enough, I guess, for the situation or the place that we're put that he's leaving the sport in for Australia. And yeah, good luck to him back in New Zealand.
Back home for him. Hopefully, we never see him wearing any New Zealand sporting attire, or we're going to have to flog him up when we get there in January. Yeah, and he doesn't look like he can fight, so
that will get him beat.
We've got him measured. Boop. All right, that's it. That's all we've got. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure you go ahead and like the video. If you haven't done so,
New Zealanders, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do some dumb shit. We do some funny shit. And
you want to see how Speedway's done in Australia? We'll loosely show you. If not, I'm sure there'll be plenty of recommended videos on the side that'll show you a little bit better. So
just subscribe.
Subscribe. Keep hitting the subscribe button. Thank you very much to everybody who sent through their subscription photos. The free sticker pack mail out has finished because we ran the fuck out of stickers.
But we're getting more stickers.
We're going to have to do another... Yeah, we'll have stickers for the season, but we're going to have to do another subscription promotion later on.
But just remember, there is money, cash money going out to subscribers. So if you subscribe, including New Zealand, our Australia Post will send over to you. And there is cash money. So if you subscribe, send in the screenshot to our page of your subscription, and you could end up being $100 richer.
Yep. And then book your flight to New Zealand. Jake, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nev.
Love you.
Thanks, world.
I'm running the race and I'm glad. I'm running the race and I'm faster than them. Yeah. I'm in first place and I'm zooming past. Yeah. What? Who am I? I'm the greatest.